The battle for the State House in New Jersey is a combative and closely watched race that is entering the home stretch. Here to talk about her vision, Democrat Mikie Sherrill. The Point starts right now. Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill is in a pitched battle to succeed Governor Phil Murphy. When you look at the polls and what people are telling us, affordability is really the key issue for everybody in the state. I know you've been talking a lot about it. One of the things you've talked about is universal health care or childcare. And I'm wondering, I know that from reading about it, you want to limit people's exposure to about 7% of their income. Is that doable given the fact that you're calling on the federal government to provide the funds for child care?
So I'll continue to work with our federal delegation to push for federal funding. Right now, what we're doing in New Jersey is working on pre-K throughout the state, because we know those first 5 years of a child's life are some of the times when they learn the most. And so setting them up well for school is so important and can provide such a boost to students as they start their career in kindergarten. But that also means that we're going to have to push in more services for infants and toddlers, because that kind of upends the model we have now, because right now infant-based childcare is more expensive than in-state college tuition. And so too many families are having to make this choice between can they work or not.
But see, right now, the federal aid to childcare is really limited to low-income people. I'm wondering if in your childcare plan, you would have an income cap as to who could get free childcare or aid in childcare.
At the federal level, what I've been pushing for is to make sure it's available to everyone. And it's percentage based on your income. So, of course, if you make more money, there is a higher cost to it.
And it would be a 7% cap?
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, what I think we have to come to terms with, and I hear about it from chambers of commerce and businesses all the time, is this is a key economic driver right now.
Well, people say it's better, easier for them to go to work if they have childcare.
Right, and too many parents are finding the high cost of childcare preventing them from going into the workforce or having to leave the workforce for a period of time. And we know that if a woman leaves the workforce for just 5 years, which is that birth to kindergarten time period, that can be a 20% hit on her entire income throughout her life.
So I guess I wonder what you make of the debate that's going on this side of the river about universal child care and the claim by the leading person in the polls, Joe Mondani, about having universal child care paid for by the city government, maybe with some state aid. Is there any possibility that New Jersey itself could come up with money that could fund some form of universal child care in the state?
Well, what the governor's been working on right now is that pre-K, so 3- and 4-year-olds throughout the state, and making sure that they have the preschool so that they can get a good start on schools. Now, child care earlier, a lot of the program I have would be incentivizing businesses, for example, to build out child care through tax incentives, pushing into, in certain child care deserts, infant-based child care that we need so mothers can go back to work, or families and parents can go back to work. And then also fixing some of the ways in which the workforce is able to get their credits, because right now you have to pay for your credits. I would like to see some on-the-job training so you can be earning money as you're earning your credits.
So you're basically saying, though, that you don't think that the federal government, given the present climate in Washington, would look favorably on giving an increase in federal aid for childcare, especially in a blue state like New Jersey?
You know, we don't see signs of that. We see such mismanagement at the federal level. I think we've added another $1 trillion to the deficit in the most rapid pace that we've ever seen in the nation's history. So we see the deficit going up and yet costs going up for everyone, because generally I think what the president's doing is running an economy that benefits him. So I believe he and his family have made about $5 billion at this point in the short time he's been in office, while everyone pays more money. So with that in mind, that does not seem to be a focus of the Trump administration, is actually running a good economy or investing in working parents. That is something at the state state level, we're finding ways to do so that we can push in, so that we can run a resilient workforce.
So basically saying that you could have universal childcare, that would be with a 7% campus. Right now, a wish list, because you don't think you can get the federal government to do it?
I am hoping that we can move them, that once we win back the House of Representatives, that we can start to push more on better economic incentives for the workforce. Right now, we have the government shut down, so the Republican majorities in the House and the Senate with the president can't even keep the government open, so it's hard to see them moving forward on policies that are going to advance the workforce.
You know, you say winning back the House. How difficult is it going to be? I know that the politics in New York are going to play a role, and the president is looking forward to the possibility that we'd have a Democratic Socialist mayor in New York City, and he hopes to use that to prevent Democrats from taking control of the House next November. How worried are you about the fact that if there is a Democratic Socialist mayor in New York City, the president will try to use that and make him a poster boy for why Democrats shouldn't be reelected?
So I'm sure the president's going to try to do that. But I think what we see in the two big statewide races that we have going on right now, New Jersey, my home state, and Virginia, we see, you know, the electorate really wanting to have good governance, efficient government, driving down costs, taking on the economic attacks from Washington. I think that's where we see large electorates. New York City is a little different from maybe the electorate as a whole. And I think what we're seeing in New Jersey and Virginia is just a real desire to drive down costs and to take on the economic attacks from Washington.
So how difficult would it be, were you to be elected, to deal with a White House that has already shown that they would like to punish blue states? You've seen it happen with Gateway. You've seen it happen with a number of things. How will you forge a working relationship with the president if you get elected?
You know, I think what we've seen is it's not just blue states. I mean, he is whole-scale wrecking the economy of the United States of America. So I have seen it in students who are coming forward and saying, you know, I had a job offer. I was talking to an astrophysicist who said I had a job offer and that has been rescinded. We're seeing it the hundreds of thousands of layoffs.
Because the jobs are drying up?
Because jobs are drying up. And this is across the country.
Are you blaming tariffs, or are you just blaming economic policy?
It's sort of, it's the tariffs, certainly. So I was talking to Chuck, a coffee store owner, who was telling me that a bag of coffee beans cost him about $2.50 until Trump, as he put it, got in a fight with the president of Brazil. And then the bag of beans went up to about $6.50, $7. He's not sure if his clients are going to take that on, so that imperils his small business. Big businesses who were just over a year ago, before Trump got into office, contemplating expanding. They were telling me they were going to need a bigger workforce, now are contracting and laying people off. So we're seeing that going on. We're also seeing then, you know, the specific hits like you were describing with the Gateway Tunnel. That can be responsible for about 100,000 jobs in the region. So that's a huge economic hit. So at every turn, you see the president destroying the economy.
Do you think that there's any possibility that once the government shutdown ends, that the president will have second thoughts about terminating Gateway?
Well, my intention is to have him in court right away to give him second thoughts about it, because that is congressionally appropriated money that he should not be able to freeze.
But why are you waiting? Why don't you go in now?
I'm not the governor yet.
Good point. So in other words, you're saying that the minute...
My attorney general.
The minute you get into power, if you win, what's going to be one of the first things you try to do?
Exactly.
Because you have been called the tunnel obsessive Congresswoman.
Yes.
Why is this so important to you?
Well, because it is the biggest program of national significance. As I mentioned, it's responsible for about 100,000 jobs in the region. The Northeast Corridor is responsible for about 20% of the nation's GDP, so this is a national issue. And we also know that about 200,000 New Jerseyans take that tunnel every single day, and it's personal. My husband's one of them. So really making sure New Jerseyans don't face that summer of hell year after year after year is critically important. But it also, we have got to build out transportation across the state. And so if we are going to come up with the money to do that, we can't have this federal share withdrawn for the Gateway Tunnel.
Well, I want to talk to you more about it, but we're going to leave it right here for now. We'll be right back with more with Mikie Sherrill. We are back with Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill. I want to continue talking about transit. I know one of the big concerns in this part of the state is NJ Transit and the terrible service that people feel they're getting. How would you improve it?
So, yes, you are referring to what we in New Jersey call the summer of hell. We're on about our
It's
third
the winter
one.
of hell, the spring of hell.
Summer has gotten worse on the heavy rail lines. So the New Jersey Transit, and we use the Amtrak lines because we've had catenary wire problems because Amtrak hasn't kept up their rail. So I immediately started to demand that they do so. We got $300 million to invest federally in that rail so they could fix the catenary wires. And yet now we're having path problems. And that's a Port Authority issue. So I'll demand the Port Authority make better investments in path.
I see. It seems to me, though, that I've always wondered about why you fund NJ Transit from the New Jersey General Fund and from the budget. If you take a look at the MTA funds its programs through a whole basket of taxes, from 1/4% of the sales tax, the mortgage recording tax, the stock transfer tax, a gas tax, lots of taxes. They have lots of taxes. Why doesn't New Jersey do that? Because then you would come up with more money to fix NJ Transit. I mean, it's not just the rails. People complain about the cars, people complain about the service, how fast it is, how many trains run. It goes on and on and on.
And it used to be the best of the three. New Jersey Transit, unfortunately, it's been a minute. Certainly not recently. And you're exactly right. We need a dedicated source of funding.
So, I mean, why don't you copy what the MTA does? There's like tons of taxes. I mean, you know, in New York, they pay 8 3/4% taxes in sales tax. 1/4% goes to the MTA. That's a lot of money. Why doesn't New Jersey do something like that?
So New Jersey has really, I think, strained the taxation system to its breaking point. We have the highest corporate taxes in the nation right now. Simply looking to fair hikes in taxes is just not an option.
So how are you going to find money for NJ Transit?
So many places around the world that run some of the best transit systems worldwide do it through things like transit-oriented development, developing properties they have, putting parking lots on them, other leasable facilities, putting advertising on the side of buses and trains, I was speaking to a woman from South Korea who was saying, Mikie, you know, in South Korea, there's TVs on the buses so that you can do the advertising that way, maybe like you see in the taxis. So we have a lot of options.
I have to ask you this question. Who would want to put their sign on the side of an NJ Transit train? I mean, seriously.
We've already seen several. I think it's awesome because, I mean, I hate to say this, but often as you're taking a train, you find yourself in traffic, which is something else I want to address. But in the meantime, so you're a captive audience. As you're sitting there, there's the bus, there's the advertising. It's actually, I think, a really great way to advertise in this area.
And you also think you would do televisions?
I love that idea. And we see those in like taxi cabs now. So when you have that kind of captive audience, having advertising can be really lucrative.
So I know another one of your signature issues is to freeze electric rates, which have gone up 20% in the last year in New Jersey. But a lot of people think you can't do it. A lot of people say it's unconstitutional, that you're going to have problems doing it, especially since the power companies are private entities. How are you going to get a privately run for-profit company to say, oh, I'm going to reduce the rates?
So this is something no other governor has done. I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs because we are at the breaking point and the people of New Jersey are demanding, look, we need to address this immediately. Not in 10 years, not in a 5-year plan, but immediately. And yeah, I think my opponent immediately attacked it because he has no plan to do anything about it. But I'll tell you, when I said that, the utility companies put an open letter out saying that they do want to negotiate these prices with me, that they're interested in doing just that. We also have money coming in through the BPU that we can use to defray some of these costs. But then at the same time, I'm going to drive massive amounts of power into the grid because right now we are in a market, New York's in it as well, and the market prices are very, very expensive.
But where do you get the power from? I mean, is it nuclear? Is it wind that the president hates? Is it going to be more power coming from the grid? What?
So the fastest and cheapest way we can start to add power to the grid is solar and battery storage. So I'm immediately going to get to work with the legislature to cut through the red tape and permitting issues that have long plagued this area so that we can put solar on capped landfills, on rooftops, getting battery storage in those areas where we have good interconnectivity to immediately add it to the grid. And then in the first budget, start to put money towards modernizing our natural gas facilities so that we can drive up production and drive down carbon across the state. And then as a longer term plan, have nuclear. And we have several areas where we have traditionally had nuclear, where the communities are comfortable with that, so we can drive that into the grid as well.
What do you think of the proposal by Assemblywoman Katz, who's proposed taking a look at those data centers that use a lot of power and maybe giving them a surcharge?
You know, I was actually just talking about this morning with several policy leaders in the state, because we do have to come up with a plan. And I'm going to actually take a close look at that piece of legislation. Probably not in the next 12 days because that's the final days of my election. But I was just discussing that actual piece of legislation because we see part of the reason the market is so expensive is because Virginia has put in a ton of data centers, and that is sucking a lot of power out of our grid, making it very expensive. At the same time, though, New Jersey is an innovation state. We have always been a leader in innovation, and we want to continue to grow that as well. So we're going to have to find a balance.
So data isn't the only concern that people have. People are also concerned about online safety. I wonder what you plan to do about that. I mean, it's sort of intertwined, but seriously, a lot of people are concerned about hacking, about whether their data is safe. Every day you have somebody complaining about, I got a letter from X company that said that they hacked in and they have my
I hear this concern all the time. In fact, seniors have been coming to me because DOJ released a lot of Social Security information, so seniors are very concerned. They're often the targets of data collection and attacks. I've also heard from governors who have said that the president has demanded some of their election information, which includes things like driver's license information and addresses, Social Security numbers. And then, of course, my opponent was involved in a breach of my private military data, which he received illegally from the president's administration and then gave to a journalist, of all things. So we are seeing this at every level, which is why it's so important. Well, I'm going to both protect people's data. I will, like several governors I've spoken to, tell the president no when he tries to get into all of our state data. I'll protect it for the people here. But it's also, it's a little bit broader than that as far as what I'm looking at. I'm going to pass the Kids Online Safety Agenda. That will protect our kids online as well, because we see with these algorithms that they are pushing kids into some very bad places for mental health. We've seen testimony in the Senate about the horrible things children see, sometimes before they die by suicide, and their parents testifying to that. So we're also going to have a center of excellence, because right now the people that hold a lot of this data are the big tech companies. So in New Jersey, we are going to develop a center for this data so we can better act in this space, and I think be a real leader in this space for our kids.
So we have about 30 seconds left. Is there anything else you'd like to say about what you can actually do to accomplish in the short term in terms of that? 15 seconds now.
Yes, in the short term, it will be driving down electricity costs. Also, I'm going to build a database so that we can cut through red tape and permitting, and small businesses can see where their permit is so they can make better plans, and then hold hands with the Business Action Center.
And on that note, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. The federal government has been shut down for 26 days. New Yorkers have strong opinions about that. They're weighing in on your point. What do you think of the government shutdown?
I don't like it. I don't think anybody does.
I think it's terrible.
I think it sucks.
As long as it's against Trump, I'm all for it.
Oh, blasphemy. Trump's the worst.
I wish it wasn't happening, but I can't say I've been impacted by it directly.
I don't think it's great. My husband's furloughed at the moment.
A lot of people are going to be out of jobs. People are looking forward to having their lives uprooted and all of this stuff just because Trump has a hissy fit.
I think it's horrible that Trump is building a new ballroom in our White House while,
People are starving in fear of losing their SNAP benefits.
I think that the Republican Party is actually really trying to obfuscate the issue. They're trying to act like this is a Democrat thing, and it's really not. They're in power. When the Democrats are in power, they like to blame this kind of stuff on them. So when they're in power, they need to take responsibility.
Do you think the government shutdown is fair to government workers?
No, it's not fair to anyone. But that's just the way it works.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that the government can shut down in the first place.
Who wants to work and not get paid?
I mean, I wouldn't like my job to shut down. But how would I manage with a family?
How long could you go without a paycheck?
Not long.
A week?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Barely a day. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
I've been doing it for a while. Not long. It's paycheck to paycheck, just like most of us in this country.
Who wants to go without? We work hard in this country.
I get paid every 2 weeks, and that seems long. So imagine for them to be out of work for a month or so, and their bills are piling up. People, how are you going to feed your family? How are you going to pay Con Ed or your rent? You get behind and everything, and then once you get behind, it's hard to catch up.
What should be done about the shutdown?
I think the people in the government really need to get their act together.
It should be settled. Cooler minds should prevail.
I think Republicans need to stop blocking Democrats.
The Democrats should hold fast to getting health care for everybody.
They should get together and talk about it. And they should talk to that person in the White House who is not very... He's not on this planet.
Get together, guys, and talk it out and figure it out.